Okay, fantastic. I am about to interview the magnificent Mudrika De Maria, and I'm so super excited because I have known Mudrika for a number of years. And it's very funny actually because I met Mudrika at a Christmas social in December 2018. And we were just talking about our goals and aspirations for the following year. And I just had this idea and I said, I would love to inspire mothers in business based on my experience as a mother and also being a businesswoman. So we were just sitting next to each other at the dinner table, just having a general chit chat. And I remember Mudrika saying to me that she had goosebumps as I was talking to her about my ideas. And here we are now, over a year later, we've run our very first event together. And, Mudrika has been absolutely paramount in the success of our first event. She was one of our speakers and she's kindly agreed to come back and be a guest speaker at our second annual event. And I'm so excited and honoured to be interviewing you here today. So what we're going to be doing is finding out more about Mudrika. So hi Mudrika, how are you today?
Great, thank you. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. How exciting.
You're more than welcome. So I obviously know you, but for everyone that's listening into this and watching this video, can you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Yep, so I am a mother in business and I have been for many years. I have two daughters who are now 8 and 10. I'm co-founder of a company called Investment Mastery, where we teach mindset and investing. I run a property portfolio and I've had a number of other businesses as well. And I'm super passionate about inspiring and empowering people to be the best versions of themselves. And as being a mother and having to have juggled all the great things that you do as a mother in business, I'm very passionate about helping mothers to be able to cope with all this stuff that goes on that we have to do.
Fantastic. And that sounds like you have a very, very busy role at home as well as in your business. So what has been some of the challenges that you've had to deal with being a mother in business?
I think my top challenge was guilt, was leaving the children with somebody else, leaving them at nursery, not picking them up sometimes, being in the office. And I think the biggest thing I had to get through was guilt and overwhelm. There was a lot of overwhelm. How do I juggle everything? How do I do everything? It felt like I was just working non-stop. I lost myself through motherhood. In the early days, I was always a businesswoman and did loads of things that were, successful. Then I became a mum and it was like the hardest thing I've ever done. I mean, there was no system. They cry when they cry, and they do what they have to do. And I was such a control freak running businesses that for me, becoming a mother, I have to say, is the hardest thing I've ever done because there's no control. So in that time, I actually felt I lost myself. I lost myself to what was my identity? What did I stand for? I wasn't a businesswoman anymore for that short period of time. But I actually had to go back to the business because it kind of didn't run without me at the time. So I had to juggle. I remember, my youngest being literally a week old, in one arm, typing with one finger. And I lost myself. Who was I? Was I a mom? Was I a business owner? What was I? And I think that in that moment, you lose also your femininity. You don't feel very attractive. You lose your sexy, and I'd never put myself first. I was always the last person on the list. So those were some of the big challenges that I faced and had to work through. And I did have a coach at the time, so it helped me work through those things. And I think it's really important to always be looking at what the challenge is. But in that moment, you're so in it, you can't even see the wood from the trees,
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's quite a common thing for mothers to lose themselves through motherhood, but it's also not a very easy thing to admit because often as mothers we want to make sure everything is under control, that we're there for the family, and that we're the person that keeps everything together. So at the point where you felt that you were, you were losing yourself, was that early on in motherhood, or was that after some period of time? How did that all happen?
I think it was after some period of time, because initially when you have the baby, it's all lovely and they're cute and you're learning along the way and it's massive growth, and I think when they're about a year old, and then I had the second one, and then one was 1 and one was 3, and I think it's in that moment that you kind of start going, okay, who am I? Am I a mum? Am I a business owner? I'm both. But how do you juggle it? Which one's more important? And that's when it's like the values come in. It's like, what do I value, this or this? And it always looks like everyone else is coping fine, apart from yourself.
Yeah.
But everyone is greener, and everyone looks so put together and like they're coping, but they're really not. When you talk to everyone wants to have that first conversation. How are you coping? It's the hardest thing I've ever done, and I think it was quite interesting I didn't even make time for mothers, meets and coffee mornings, because I was working.
Yes.
So the time to do that was the times that I was in the office, and I remember sometimes being in meetings and it would take me about 5 minutes to catch up with the conversation because I was so tired from not sleeping all night, but I still have to show up and put on a front that I'm this professional, and it's really tough, but I felt that's the time I lost myself, when they were a couple of years old, and when I was kind of going, okay, who am I? What do it, and you're trying to lose the baby fat, you're trying to look good, you're trying to show up well, and everything doesn't look good, and then self-doubt comes in, and that inner voice comes in, and you kind of lose your way, and I think a lot of mums do, and when I talk to mums, a lot of them do. It's just everyone's just putting on a front to look the way they can present themselves the best way they can in front of their children, really, more than even their friends.
Yes. Oh, well, thank you for sharing that and for being so honest and candid. And I'm sure a lot of people watching this video can resonate with what you're saying, because it was just, a great picture of of reality.
Yeah, it very, very much is,
Yes. And so with that in mind, what would you say has been obviously you've had those challenges, you've overcome those challenges, but what would you say would be your biggest success?
With my biggest success in general, or around that period of time?
Around that period of time, what would you say would be your biggest success?
I would say dealing with the guilt.
Right.
Because guilt is such a big, debilitating emotion. It really is one that you constantly live with if you're in that zone, and then you don't feel good enough and you question everything you do. And I think the biggest success of me overcoming guilt was actually speaking to a very close friend of mine who was also in the personal development arena, but had her children a lot earlier than I had. And she has had the same struggle, and she talked about it with me. And she said the thing that helped her was seeing what role model she was for her children. And for me, that was the bit that stuck. And I kind of went, I've got 2 girls, even if it wasn't 2 girls, it wouldn't matter. What role model do I want to be to my children? And when I really looked at that, I thought, oh, I don't want to be someone who feels guilty. I don't want to be someone who's miserable. I don't want to be someone who's lost their way or not looking after themselves. And I was like, actually, no, I want to be a shining example to my children, to have whatever they want, whatever success, to be the best version of them. And the only way children listen is not by what you tell them, it's by what you show them. Yeah. And for me, that role model, being the role model, the best version of me, and being happy and playful and joyful with them, was the thing that helped me get through the guilt, because then it was about them as well, not just about me, because then getting through your own personal guilt is, oh, it's all about me. But bringing that into it suddenly made me raise my game and kind of really go, okay, what do I want for them? Because they're going to see me being that. And if I'm guilty and miserable, they're going to pick up on that. And that's what they're going to think motherhood's about when they grow older and be mothers, So that was the success, was really shifting the guilt by actually going, no, by working and showing what's possible, being happy, having my own life, and enjoying what I do in business gives me joy, it gives me growth, you know, and I can teach them all those things. And that for me was about being a shining example to them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I assume it makes the journey much more fun because you're taking them along with you on the journey and you're inspiring them as well. And that's such another great key message for all mothers watching this, because it is so easy to get overwhelmed in your own sort of, you know, challenges and thinking, no, it's all about me. But it's not about you. It's about the effect that you have on your children as well, and for future generations. And it's about breaking that cycle and showing them alternative ways of dealing with those challenges. So that's fantastic. Thank you. So with your wealth of experience that you have, being a businesswoman and a mother, what advice would you give to any mothers who are thinking about getting into business?
Find something that you love to do. You know, I think don't just go for a business idea that someone's brought to your attention, you know, or someone's brought an opportunity to do it. So have clarity on what you enjoy doing, because it will, you just want to do it. It won't be an effort to do it. And I think as mothers, we juggle a lot, and it's always, we're always looking to make sure that we can do as much as we possibly can. And I think in that moment, then to have to work on a business it's challenging, you know. But if you're working on a business that you love or really enjoy, there's going to be parts that you don't. Not everything in life is about enjoying. There'll be parts that you just have to knuckle down and do. But
Yeah.
if majority of it is enjoying that process, the outcome, the way of doing it, it's your passion, it's you it's like a hobby, it's a lot easier to go out there and do it. And secondly, design your business that works for you. You know, it's got to fit into your lifestyle, it's got to fit into who you are. You know, if you love to pick up your children after school, or drop them off in the morning, or go to a specific club, design your business that choose a business that is designed around your lifestyle and your life. So it's really important to know that, because most of us don't even know that. So, you know, like go through the exercise of writing down what's most important for you. If you were to design your perfect day, what would you like it to look like? Would you know, want to do a bit of exercise in the morning, pick up, you know, drop the children home to school, you know, and then do a little bit of something for yourself, or do the business in those hours, pick them up, take them to a club, make sure you're around to cook them a nice meal. Whatever it is for you, write that down, and then use that as a reference point when you're looking at this business idea or your business opportunity. Is, does that fit into my lifestyle? Because those are the two, I feel, the big chunks that I find women struggle with. I know I struggle with, you know, and it's kind of, if you could design, especially if you've got the liberty of designing a business beforehand, it's really cool to kind of go, actually, I'm going to put those big rocks in now, and that has to happen. I just think it makes it a lot easier. It just makes running a business a lot easier. I mean, it means it just fits into your life better.
Yes, and there are so many different opportunities now to create businesses, and it's not just about, you know, having, you know, an IT business or something like that. You can be so creative in terms of what your actual passion is, and like you say, you know, designing it around you and your lifestyle is very key to that. And so for those mothers that are actually in business at the moment and they want to grow their business, what advice would you give to them?
My top one, I think, would be work on your self-worth so that you can cope with the growth. Because I know there have been times for me, it's been, oh, I've got this, how lucky I am. I've created it. It's not through work, but I've created it. When it goes to the next stage, it's, am I worthy of that? Because I think we have to grow as people, but we also have to grow in our worthiness. You know, can I cope with this now? Am I going to be able to kind of cope with this growth, with the fear, if I lose it? So I think one of the things that I went through, and I get often asked from my business, is or coach people on, is around self-worth. And you might have great self-worth now, but can you grow your business from, I don't know, 50,000 to 200,000? You know, that is a jump. It's like a super goal. You put that super goal in place, and then, oh my God, am I worthy? So it's really about kind of going, what growth do you want in the business, and have you grown inside in order to cope with that growth? Otherwise, what I find happens where I've been coaching clients as well is that you get self-sabotage, procrastination, you don't want to do it, then you don't do it and go, oh my God, I'm not good enough, and it's a bit of a cycle.
Yes.
So really work on your self-worth, do yourself some affirmations, do things to help you grow in that area. And the second one, which I think is something I really look to master and have got quite good at over the years, is create time for growth. Make time. Look at what can you systematize within the business, what can you automate within the business, and what can you delegate, whether that's in the business but also in your life. Because if it's going to take up time, what can you put systems in place? What can you delegate? Can you now, for that growth, you might invest a little bit of money into getting a VA or a PA or some help at home, because you're looking to invest to make that growth. And sometimes people forget to invest in themselves and in their business, monetary, in order to get that growth, and they fall down because they've not got that solid foundation in place.
Yes, yes. And delegation, again, is very, very key, because, you know, as a mother, you're used to juggling and being in control of all of these things, all these plates or balls that you're juggling, and then to have to, you know, flip that over and now start delegating and giving part of your tasks, part of your duties, your role to someone else can be quite challenging, because you have to let go of that actual control. So that's great that you brought that up. Thank you. So based on what you've just said to us, and obviously you're coming back with us for our second year for our annual event, what is it that you're going to be speaking about?
So I'm going to be speaking about beauty on the outside. So we're going to, where you've got identity within your inside, I'm going to be looking at, well, how do you represent that on the outside? So that can come in many different ways. My vision is to empower people to enjoy and express themselves through self-image. So that's where the way they look, the way they stand, the way they present themselves. You know, I always think beauty on the outside is actually confidence from the inside. You know, do you have the guts to wear that color? Do you have, the confidence to kind of go, actually, I'm going to show up with my shoulders held back, and I'm going to show up at a meeting like I'm in control, or, so it's really about holding yourself and the image on the outside, which is not just looks, how you look, but also how you present, how you show up physically. Also, looking at your identity. Well, what represents your identity? Because we're all different. Some of us like to have an identity of X, and that looks like this, but we never spend time to go, what does that look like on the outside? If I'm going to a meeting, how do I need to represent myself in a meeting? For that meeting, how do I show up somewhere else? And I also will be sharing tips on how to get resources, because sometimes we're too busy to go to a salon or get our hair done or things like that. So I'd be sharing tips on how you can do that at home. If it's affordability, which a lot of times I get many times I just can't afford to have those treatments, or doing things. Well, how do we then find ways to do it at home? How can you do some swaps with people, with another business, and swap of services and get creative with it, and also self-care. I think often we forget as mothers self-care on, what do we do to cope with overwhelm? What do we do to cope with stress? It's okay to go out and have a half an hour walk in the fresh air, because when you come back, you're so much more resourceful in your work, in the way you parent, things like that. Also eating the right things, to give you energy. But whatever it is for you, is really looking at everybody's different. And I find that sometimes with self-care, we go to that one size fits all. So everyone goes, oh, you've got to meditate. well, I actually enjoy meditation myself. I've tried it over years and years and years, different ones. It doesn't work for me. But a walk for me works like a meditation. I completely close down my mind. I'm in nature, I'm in fresh air, but that works for me. So for me, that's my form of meditation. So it's really working on what your self-care, what's for you. Not everyone's self-care is the same. So really looking at what that is as well, and kind of getting your identity back and how that looks on the outside. So that's the sort of things will be sharing, and also taking any questions and answers. My background was beauty many years ago, and I love empowering women on how they look from the outside, because I think it's normally what's going on inside that shows up outside. Yeah. So I recently got asked on my Instagram, you know, what could you not live without? And I said, a good blow dry and my pair of heels. Those are my two things that are my go-to. If I've got a good hairdo and I've got a pair of heels on, I feel on top of the world. Now that's my thing, but it's different for different people. It just makes me feel feminine. That is actually one more thing I'm going to talk about, is femininity. How you can stay feminine in a business wealth environment. We do not have to be men to run a business or create wealth for ourselves. We've just got to do it in our feminine way, and to have the confidence to do it in that feminine way. And that's something I've played with over the years, where I've struggled and I've had to go into my masculine energy, which you can for a bit, and it's important to have that, but it's difficult to stay there, you know, because we are not men, you know. So it's okay to dip in, but not having to stay in that energy, because that's exhausting.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that is something I'll be sharing as well, is how to stay feminine in business or create a form of wealth, whatever you're doing, investing, property, whatever your business is.
Yeah, and they're all great, valuable skills, and that's why we're so super excited and honoured to have you as a guest speaker at our event. And you know, although a lot of the skills that you're talking about is about self, you know, from the outside, all of those things, you know, once you work on those and use the skills and strategies that you're going to be sharing, will enable these mothers to help to improve their business as well. So it's about, you know, creating a better you, but also creating a better business, because if you feel better on the outside as well as the inside, that's going to reflect on your business results as well.
It really is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It absolutely is. It really does make a big difference. It's always about what's going on inside.
Yes. So, okay. And so the final question is, why do you think mothers should attend this event?
Well, I absolutely think that people don't make enough time for themselves, especially mothers in business. You know, it's just so much that we're juggling, and it's so difficult to keep it all going. And I think that we absolutely have to commit to making time for ourselves. And coming to an event like this, it really allows you to be in an environment that you're safe, because we're all mothers of business, and some of them might be a little bit longer apart along the path, but we've all where you started. We're all where you started, and we've been through the pain, and we've come up with solutions. We've paid coaches to learn and grow from, and we can share all that with you. And it's such a great place to have such a diverse number of people also, who are going to be teaching different concepts. And I think that the biggest thing is to make time for yourself in order to grow as a mother, you know, and be able to take those tools and techniques away with you, so that you can make it easier for yourselves, you know, and have the growth and have the fun and the joy that comes with it as well. So, you know, I spoke at the last one, it was incredible. People had the most awesome breakthrough. For us, it was so rewarding to be able to support them, and it's gone on to change their lives. And I know we got feedback that they were using the tools that we gave them, and some people have achieved goals that they've never achieved before by some of the tools we gave them. And some of them were simple tools, but they're ones that help us as well. So it's a proven strategy. All of us have been successful after using some of these tools that we're going to share with you. So, you know, it's just an awesome event. Make the time to come. You will not be disappointed.
Oh, thank you, Mudrika. That's wonderful. And I've really enjoyed spending time with you today, just talking to you about your journey and, you know, finding out more about yourself. And I'm sure the people watching this at home will enjoy your video too, and will be, you know, coming along to the event. So thank you so much for your time. And we'll see you on the 14th and the 15th of March.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Can't wait. It's going to be so cool.
Fantastic. Thank you.